All right, thank you for tuning in again for another episode on Escape the System, Retire Early. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of budgeting and why I believe everybody should be budgeting to at least some extent. Basically, if you're not budgeting, then you really have no way to play the game of retiring early. In order to do that, you need to know how much your money. Well, you probably know how much you're making, but where all that money is going, and how much of it you could save for other opportunities, and to save for your money making machine, and for anything else that you want to, eventually buy. So, when most people think about budgeting, they think about listing all their expenses and, cutting expenses as much as they can. But the way I like to look at it, a little bit more friendly way, is to look at we're just going to really try to figure out where we want to spend our money and what we want our money to do. And not necessarily where we're going to cut our expenses, but where do we want to spend our money? What's most important to us? So, for example, if you always wanted to go on vacation to say Hawaii, we're gonna make sure that we have that money to spend on that vacation that we want, and instead of spending it somewhere else where we might not want as much as Hawaii, like say for going out to eat or your phone bill or something else. So we could cut our expenses in those categories, but spend more in others that are more important to us. So it's more about getting a total control of your money and exactly where you want your money going and where do you want to spend your money. Not necessarily, where we're going to cut all of our expenses and, this tedious little process. You could honestly budget as much in detail and as much of a granular level as you want, and or you could do it on a more general basis, and whatever really works for you is what I would recommend. When I first started with budget, this is why I think it's so powerful. A budget is you get to see where you were spending your money. So, for example, was spending around, I believe it was like 280, maybe like $300 for a lease. Not a lease, it was a finance payment on a Honda Civic, and then another 110 on insurance for that Civic. So altogether, I was spending just under $400 on a car that I was barely using. I lived with my girlfriend, and she's my wife. We're not married. I like to call her my life because she's like my wife, but we're not married. But we have two kids and we got a bunch of houses together. So we're she is my wife with just no paperwork. So my life and I were living together, and we rarely ever used the two cars. In fact, I think it was once a week. I used I mean, sorry, we rarely used the my car because we had our daughter, so we wouldn't ever go in the Civic. She had a truck. We would always be in there, and I would honestly use my car about once a week. I'd go out. I played hockey at, I don't know, Wednesday nights. I'd go drive to hockey, and I'd take my car. And it was like him. It's like I could just take her car. We very early both go two different directions, so we need two cars at the same time. And it's like, and if I do, I have $400 that I could spend on Uber that to get me there. And if as long as I spend 400 or less, it would be like the same thing as if I had my car, but now I have a personal chauffeur, to drive me to and from. There's no gas cost, and thought I'm not gonna probably spend $400 on Ubers every month since I can't even tell you the last time we needed both cars. So I sold the car. We sold it was a Honda Civic at the time. I did the like that instant offer thing, I think online, maybe through Kelly Blue Book. Can't really remember at the time, or through one of those websites. I've seen that like the value if I sold it was like 9 to 10 grand or 10 grand, and they had offered 8 for an instant offer. So I called. There was like 3 different dealerships. I called them all. I was like, I could sell it for 10. You're offering 8. If you can meet me in the middle at 9, save me from the time and effort. I'll do it. And only one of them bit, and I ended up selling it to them. I took that money. I paid off the remaining finance balance, which was around 6-7 thousand. I walked away with a couple $1,000 cash, and I cleared up $400 in expenses every month. I was able to then take that $400 and allocate it to our Hawaii vacation fund every month. So after 12 months of that, I was sitting at $5,000, $4,800 sitting in an account that I could now use on vacation. And you could put that on wherever you want that money to go. But I was able to put that money to better work for me, and that's the important part about the budgeting. Another thing we did right away was we were spending like $500 a month going out to eat. And yeah, we enjoyed going out to eat. It was definitely a good time, but not that much, and not where I'm looking at it like, wow, it's $6,000 at the end of the year, and I could put that money in so many different places. So it became a point where we made the decision that we're gonna only go out to eat once a month, and we're gonna do it in a cost effective manner, and so we're gonna allocate $50 a month, and we're gonna save another 450, and we were able to pick where we wanted that $450 to go. What do we want to do? Do we want to save it for a potential investment property, or where? And that to me was the most enjoying part about budgeting. Excuse me. I gotta cut that out, y'all. I just burped. All right. All right. So I hope I can cut that out. I don't know how good editing I'll do, but excuse me if I didn't. Anyway, so that was the best part about budgeting. It wasn't this boring, tedious thing anymore. It was like exciting. It was like, oh, where can I find money? And what do we want that money to do? And that's why I like this website, because it puts it into that mindset. Whereas a lot of people think budgeting, oh, let's just track all our expenses and do it again next month. And you're not really going to change anything unless you're looking at it and saying, okay, where's my money going to work right now? Okay, I spent it all on this. So it was working like this last month, or it's working like this, so far through this month. And what do I want? So let me make these adjustments. Like, this is more important to me than going out to eat. Saving for passive income, saving for opportunity in an opportunity fund is more important to me than going out to eat, or my high cable bill, and or my high phone bill. And that's the decision you have to make, and that's the fun part. The most fun part is picking where do you want your money to go, and what you want to do in the future, and what do you want to buy. So you're really so much more conscious with your money, and consciously spending every dollar, where you end up actually, instead of where most people think you're going to be like cutting your, having a tough life and doing it hard, and it's going to be like this negative thing where it's difficult. No, you're actually learning to spend more on things you love, and you're doing more fun and having more opportunity come your way. It's actually pretty magical. And, yeah, at times there will be, hard decisions you have to make, and, habits you have to break, like going out to eat once a week to once a month, or whatever it may be, even a couple times some weeks. And honestly, though, when you know what that's freeing up to you, what opportunity that's bringing, it's not that hard, because you're like, all right, well, we're not going to eat, but we are going on vacation to Hawaii, and we go for 3 weeks. So, most people can't even do that for a week, a year, or maybe they can do a week, but not to Hawaii. They can only afford to go, somewhere else, and that's all their job gives them 1 week, maybe 2. And we went there 3 weeks. We set that goal, we hit it, and it was, honestly, a great, one of the best vacations we've had. Definitely budget, and that's also why I like this website. You need a budget.